I'm starting this video with my best impression of Kate Winslet in Titanic. That's because this video is about why narrowboats are so narrow, and I need to show how narrow my narrowboat is. I'm also going to be heading to a town in Staffordshire called Leek, which was once home to the man who's responsible for all narrowboats being as narrow as they are. I was probably tempting fate by doing a Titanic pose because I appear to have hit some ice. This isn't the start to the video I was expecting. The canal has been frozen for a few days because the weather's been really cold. And I thought it had all thawed, but it looks like there is still some ice. So I'm not sure how far I'm going to go today. I might have to cut the journey short, but I'll see how I get on. It looks okay now actually. Maybe it was just quite icy on that section there. I don't know if you can hear it, but there's a kind of cracking sound, and that's basically the boat breaking the ice as it goes through the water. I don't normally move the boat when it's icy, but I needed to move it today because it's been in the same place for 2 weeks. So the hull of my boat is made from steel, so the ice isn't thick enough to break it and sink the boat. However, ice can remove the boat's blacking, which is a protective coating to stop the hull from rusting. So that means this sound is quite worrying. I've hit another patch of ice, so I'm going to moor the boat earlier than I planned. I haven't reached Leek yet, and I'm keen to see what the rest of the canal is like, so I'm going to head there on foot. This canal is called the Caldon Canal, and it was built mainly to transport limestone for the pottery industry. Unusually there are 2 branches of this canal because it splits into 2, kind of like a fork in the road. This branch goes to Leek, which was once home to this guy, the engineer James Brindley. He was born in Tunstead in Derbyshire in 1716. But when he was a child, his family moved to a farm in Leek, which had been left to them by some relatives. When he was a bit older, he built this watermill in Leek, but the thing he's really famous for is his pioneering work building canals. This is an old photo of my boat on the Bridgewater Canal, which was the first canal Brindley ever built and is regarded as the first modern British canal. One of the canal features Brindley pioneered was narrow locks, such as Compton Lock in Wolverhampton, where I'm originally from. My friend Terry still lives there, and she told us about the lock in one of my previous videos.
There's a really interesting fact about this lock. Do you know what it is? What? It was built in 1766 by someone called James Brindley.
This lock was built in 1766 by someone called Bill Brindley.
James Brindley. James Brindley.
Bill Brindley.
James Brindley made this lock, and it was used as a model for all of the other locks in the area.
All of them.
Locks are used to move boats from one water level to another, but doing so uses a lot of water, so Brindley designed his locks to be narrow in order to reduce the amount of water used. This meant the boats needed to be narrow too, in order to fit in the locks. Compton Lock is thought to be the first operational lock that Brindley built. His locks were later copied by other people who built canals, meaning all narrowboats had to be built no wider than 7 feet. Now let's get back to the Caldon Canal, where I've just reached a tunnel. Canal tunnels were often built through hills in order to avoid the need for a long series of locks, because locks take a long time for boats to get through. As you can see, this tunnel is quite narrow. That's because it's easier to build a narrow tunnel than it is to build a wide tunnel. So that's another reason why it made sense for narrow boats to be so narrow. By the way, some tunnels are so narrow they don't even have towpaths, so I'm walking over the hill, which is the way the horses which pulled the narrowboats would have gone. Narrowboats didn't have engines back in the 18th century, so people would have got them through tunnels by legging like this. Traditional humpback canal bridges like this one were also designed to be low and narrow, because they were cheaper to build than bigger bridges, and the small arches made them more stable. I've now reached the end of the Leek branch of the Caldon Canal. This branch was mainly built to supply water to the rest of the canal, and I think this bit is where the water feeds in. It's very close to Leek town centre, so let's briefly check that out. It's getting a bit dark, so I think I'll explore more another day instead. I've skipped ahead a week now, and I've just been to a supermarket in Leek. I noticed on the map that it's close to the watermill built by James Brindley, so I've decided to take a look. James Brindley built this watermill in 1752, so it's more than 250 years old. It was used to grind corn, using the power of water from the River Churnet. It remained in use as a corn mill until 1940, so less than 100 years ago. Unfortunately, about a third of it was demolished in 1948, when this road was widened. So the wall on this side of the building isn't an original wall. The mill was then listed in 1968, which means it's now protected. It was restored in the 1970s, and it does still work, but unfortunately it's closed at the moment, so we can't see it in operation. If anyone's wondering how big my narrowboat is, she's 30 feet long and 6 feet and 10 inches wide. Before I go, I want to show you this mooring spot because it's really beautiful. It overlooks the Churnet Valley, although it's a bit too misty to see it properly this morning. I'll be back with more videos on the first Saturday of every month.